Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to the Lunchtime Series every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we talk about everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can catch the Lunchtime Series on all your major podcast channels today. In our marketing and leadership segment, as per usual, marketing and communications expert and co-host Craig Page Lee. How are you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to today's chat. Did you have a good long weekend?
It was. I I had a completely indulgent weekend. I had a massage and I drank and I got drunk and I slept a lot and I did all the wonderful things I could do. I could, try to indulge as much as possible.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Well,
Oh,
it
that's
hasn't happened. It hasn't happened in a very long time. So I was like, okay, well, nice long weekend. Let's just do it.
brilliant, brilliant.
How about you? Did I know that you also had some fun?
Yeah, it was good catching up with friends that I haven't seen for a while. One friend I haven't seen probably for 18 months. And just really, really good to use the time to sit down and catch up and reminisce and promise not to be so distant from friends for so long.
Yeah, I know. When you have those moments, you kind of go, "Why the hell don't we see each other a little bit more often than we do?"
Yeah,
Like
quite right.
it's so necessary. So, Craig, as we start off and we kick into today's conversation, what do we have just for our listeners as a reminder points from last week?
Kevin, yeah, so thanks, Emil. The reminders from last week are from the article titled Six Hottest Content Marketing Trends for Your Business 2023. The article was written by Evgenia Verbitskaya and was published on the 13th of February 2023 to semrush.com blog page. And the key points extracted from the article are noted as follows. Point one, try to answer three questions when creating any content. That being, what are my audience's needs, challenges, and pain points related to this topic, and how can my content provide more value than what's already available online? Takeaway two is improving your content, whether it's through a more authentic approach. Strict strategy, more audience-oriented content, or both will really be a top priority this year, and definitely is worth the time and effort required to establish it. Takeaway three is to drive organic and referral traffic. This is about point we've covered in many of our conversations, is telling those authentic and compelling stories while answering the reader's most important questions and aligning your content with the whole buyer journey and keep publishing consistently. Takeaway four is about human content will be a priority despite AI generated content trend. Good point to note. Use AI by shifting responsibilities, with writers becoming editors and ChatGPT 3 becoming a writer. Key takeaway five is about rankings will be less important and your click-through rates will count. This is about thoughtful multi-channel promotional strategy that meets the audience where they are, and that your content really needs to be ready for anything that 2020 throws at it. And the final takeaway from last week's conversation is 2023 will be about buying growth, not just building it. And again, it was one of the important points of the conversation where it's about finding a suitable best fit acquisition target that's already attracted that right audience segment and is actually already producing relevant and highly compelling content to keep that audience engaged and obviously buying into the brands in question, Kevin. And those are the reminder points from last week's conversation.
Fantastic, guys. If you want to go and check that out, go and check it out on the Lunchtime Series. You can see it on YouTube or any of your major podcast channels. Craig, so what are we discussing today?
Kevin, I received the 2023 version of a report that we previously covered as far back as March 2020, and I want to cover one of the key points from this most recent report in our conversation. Just to set some context, in 2022, we looked at the topic of what trends to expect in the retail payment space from a report that was titled 2022 Commerce and Payment Trends Report, 5 Seismic Trends Shaping the Future of Commerce. And the report listed these 5 seismic trends as follows. The first trend was customer expectations are changing and businesses are adapting. We've noted that as a reality. Trend 2 was buy now, pay later becomes big business. Again, we've noted that as a reality. Trend 3 was the acceleration of connected commerce, which in a way has a feed into the conversation today. Trend 4 was digitization of B2B payment, again, plugging slightly into today's conversation. And trend 5 is attention to data privacy end to end. Kevin, before getting into the detail and as a direct comparison, I noted the following from the most recent report, this time titled 2023 Commerce and Payment Trends, but with a slightly different subtitle, this being Physical, Digital, and Virtual Converge, 5 trends that will change commerce in 2023. And the 5 trends are noted as follows. The first being social and live commerce are charging ahead. Are you tapping in? The second being tech innovation, blockchain, real-time payments, and open banking take center stage. Big movements in the market around that. The third trend is digital currency accelerates as new use cases emerge. Trend 4, really interesting one, is biometrics unlocking new opportunities. And trend 5 is the dawn of the metaverse. And as we know, we've spoken a bit about that in the last 2 weeks around whether it has or hasn't succeeded and where the likes of Gen X boomers and Gen Z are playing in this regard. But as another reminder for our listeners, Global Payments are a leading payment tech company delivering innovative software and services to their customers globally. Kevin, they produced both of these annual reports, 2022 and 2023.
So Craig, as the trends are all different from last year's report, what trends are we covering in today's conversation?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you to take a guess at which trend really stands out for you from the new report and actually see if it aligns with the topic that I want to cover today.
Social and live tech. So for me, I think the tech innovation is a trend that really stands out because innovation is happening so fast. We also know in the banking sectors, the banks or some of the banking systems are failing. So I'm sure that's probably, in the forefront of people's minds. And then also the digital link to that is digital currency, because I think people are starting to worry about governments taking control of that new sort of digital currency that's coming out, where people are agreeing that to cross pollinate and pay all over the world, you could use this digital currency. But essentially what it also means is that your government has complete access and control over what it is you're allowed to spend on, what you're not allowed to spend on.
Yeah, I know you touched on this in one of our most recent conversations, just as a sort of throw out comment. And those two are very much linked. There's no doubt about it. Digital currency, blockchain, real-time payments, absolutely. But actually, the trend that I want to pick up on today is trend 1, which is social and live commerce are charging ahead. And this trend also has a direct link back to our show of 12th of April, where we learned that both Gen X and boomers are finding affinity with social media as not just a product discovery platform, but also as a shopping channel, realizing then that 23% of Gen X and 6% of boomers had actually bought a product on social media in the 3-month period since May 2022, in that respective report we covered, Kevin. So kicking off the conversation, let's take a look at a few of the definitions, firstly, on what social and live commerce actually is, because I think this is something that is easily confused with social media. So according to Target, at least techtarget.com, social commerce is a rapidly growing branch of e-commerce that uses social networks and digital media to facilitate transactions between businesses and customers. It encompasses activities such as product discovery, reviews, ratings, sharing, recommendations, transactions, and loyalty programs. Then, according to one of my other favorite sources, Investopedia, social commerce promotes products and services through networking websites, with a number of retweets, likes, and shares being a measure of success for social commerce campaigns. And social commerce also seeks to engage online shoppers by offering expert product advice and support. And then the good and trusted Shopify.com, one of my other favorite sources for all things retail, Social commerce is the use of social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram to market and sell products and services. This type of selling model lets customers complete the purchases without actually leaving any of the social media apps. And key of the benefits here is shoppers can use social commerce to firstly discover brands, research further products, interact with customer support, and actually purchase products and items within the platforms. And then Shopify.com actually goes on to note, Kevin, that social commerce is a more convenient interactive shopping experience, which may explain why it's becoming so popular across the world. And an example of this would be while scrolling on Instagram, you could actually see a set of products that you like. You can literally tap shop now, add it to your shopping cart, and check out within the app, never leaving the platform.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I was just going to point out now is one of the things that comes to mind around, shopping online convenience would be Facebook's, what do they call Facebook's? Marketplace. There we go. Yeah, you could literally, I've gone to the degree of like, okay, I'm looking for a couch, or I'm looking for I'm looking for pallets, or I'm looking for wood. And the convenience of what it does offer, and because I'm kind of relating, like, why is social commerce kind of stepping up, but then if you look at Takealot, at a click of a button, you find what it is you're looking for, and they deliver it within 7 days. So I think that convenience factor, I think,
very much a driver.
The infrastructure and the problems that we experience in South Africa to the degree that we do, convenience is really at the forefront of our minds, because sitting in the traffic, in load shedding, all the extras that go with that, I think convenience is really pushing the agenda, because we need a bit of convenience in our environments.
Absolutely.
Great. So what is the difference between social commerce and e-commerce? And which is something I know a bit more about, as I do buy quite a lot online, as I've just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly that. So a relevant question considering what you've just noted in terms of e-commerce and convenience and things like that. So to start off with, I want to reference another article on Shopify.com, which is titled "Why is Social Commerce?" At least, what is social commerce? Definition and guide. And this was published on the 28th of September last year by Holly Stanley. And we learned the following from this particular article, Kevin, that social commerce and e-commerce are not the same. E-commerce is a shopping experience that takes place on a particular website or a branded app. And these sites are usually built on e-commerce platforms like Shopify, where consumers access the sites on any internet-enabled device, such as tablets, desktops, or mobile devices. And there's a fairly specific sales funnel relative to e-commerce, where it's generally all about online, as I know, around visiting the store, viewing the product, getting into the checkout process. In that process, there's often an upsell to buy packaged somebody else or this product with that, and they're promoting that proposition, and then you complete the purchase. And so from visiting a store, actually landing on a brand's website, then they use your tracking pixels, so you can begin they can begin the remarketing process, and you just go through each of those 5 phases to eventually, to having made your purchase decision, you continue shopping. They will then continue sending you marketing emails, coupons, etc., to encourage you to come back into that particular proposition. So a longer journey of shopping, a longer journey of experience with the brand, but off another platform, not in an instantaneous social environment. The article then states that social commerce is the subset of e-commerce, and actually refers to shoppers making their purchases within social media platforms, so not within the brand's website now. And there you're able to do everything from product research to checking out what happens within that social media platform as well. And Kevin, with social commerce, brands can still sell through their social media platforms, which means that there's no requirement to actually have their own e-commerce sites to get set up with social media platforms, native selling tools, and really just simplifies the process, and it's got a cost advantage for brands as well. However, online retailers that do have websites with an online store can easily benefit from directing leads from their websites into that social media platform as well. And again, there's quite a distinct sales funnel for social commerce, which is a much simpler process, literally a 3-step process. The top of your funnel, you've got your social media platforms and the likes of Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and even the blogs. That's about the awareness, product discovery, inspiration. You move through to the middle of the funnel, which is about your engagement, referral information. There is search and retargeting in this particular environment using Facebook Ads Manager. And then the bottom of the funnel is really where you complete your purchase, sale is done, and the conversion is in place. Much simpler process.
So, Craig, I'm going to make a prediction on what the future is going to hold here quickly. If you like just listening to, social commerce and things, being convenient, there's a disconnect between having that convenience and human connection, right? I bet within 10 years from now, there are going to be restaurants that make food, robots that make food for people, where you could actually just drive past, collect your food, and go. And then being served by a chef and being served by a human will become a commodity. And having people engage with you would be sellable.
That's a bold statement. Just taking the humanization and human contact aspect out of all things. Yeah. Hopefully we aren't there.
We kind of do that currently. If you look at online training, online training is cheaper than in-person training.
Yeah, sure.
So, when you're starting to kind of go, okay, cool, I can be there, but for me to be there, I'm going to charge you double the amount than, if I'm just doing it online. So I think that the evolution of where we're going is there's going to be a very distinct kind of like, here's convenience, and convenience gives you that, but it doesn't give you human connection. Yeah. And people are going to sell human connection to make more money.
And that's really where AI could play a big role in either the positive or the negative aspect of that, because AI could fulfill so much of the non-human connection conversation, whilst at the same time AI could ensure that the non-human stuff in the background is taken care of, but it ensures that it pushes human to the front to ensure that human contact and conversation remains. And I think when it's worked effectively, the latter will be the case, where I can take place of all of the jobbing stuff in the back end and ensure and allow human interaction and emotional connection to happen at the front end.
And the only reason I know I point this out is because, when we're pitching to do work right now, people are actively asking which part of the training or which part of the program that you're doing will be in person. We need some kind of in-person engagement.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So they're fine with the online, and they're fine with having a system that does and generates and content and whatever, but they still actively seek that human connection, which is a really good sign, because people are paying attention to the importance of the 5 core critical skills of social intelligence, and
yes,
need that in-person contact.
Absolutely.
But I mean, what's interesting, Craig, is what can you share with us about the point of the Global Payments 2023 report?
Kevin, yes. So referencing the report, we note the following statement, which was actually published on the 18th of January this year. And it opens with a comment that social commerce is the leading payment trend in 2023. And let's look at some of the points as to why this is such. Social media is evolving. It's no longer just a place where people interact with friends. People, including customers, are now shopping and buying directly from social media, including the likes of Facebook, Pinterest, Insta, and TikTok. And this experience is known as social commerce, one of our top commerce and payment trends of 2023, and for good reason. And Kevin, more than 50% of the global payments businesses surveyed actually noted that they will introduce social commerce as a new channel in 2023, primarily because these businesses and brands can actually reach more customers on social media platforms. The researchers also predict that nearly 6 million people will be using social media by 2027, presenting 6 billion people, presenting a substantially large captive audience for brands to engage with. And again, the key point to note on the back of that is that the average person actually spends nearly 2.5 hours on social platforms daily, Kevin, resulting in this global social commerce being predicted to reach nearly $793 billion US by 2025%, up 12.2% from the previous predictions, and obviously a place that any brand would want to be playing in, and therefore ensuring that their social platforms are really best in class.
Greg, my perspective, and if you hear it, like 2.5 hours of social media, right? If you are listening to this conversation today and you're not actively aware of what your social media, where you're actually spending that time on social media, you are actively reprogramming your brain to whatever you're actually doing in that time. And if it's dumb, you're dumbing your brain down. And if it's not informative, you're not informing yourself. If it's bad news you're watching the whole time for 2 hours, you're going to be a highly strung, very negative person for most of your day. Like for 2.5 hours, do you know how much programming your brain can go through in 2.5 hours? And
such a great point you make.
And you're constantly doing that, right? So you have to be so specific on it's great that you want to buy stuff online, but on that online store or that app that you're actually on, there's adverts coming up all the time. And where are you finding your info, and how are you finding your info, and what are you exposing your brain to the whole time? It's a very scary, and then you also let your kids do it, and you're having your 10-year-old and your 15-year-old buy stuff online, and they're getting exposed to this. It's very scary.
Absolutely. I think we need to do a show just focusing on the potential impact of what that time on social media is. And we know we've touched on it as recently as last week around the Gen Zers, and the week before on the negative impact it's having on their lives, Kevin. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But good. That's a really great point you make there. But just getting into more detail on this leading trend, social and live commerce are changing, at least charging ahead. We read the following open statement in the report, Kevin. Social media has evolved from a place of social interaction with friends to a place where brands can further engage customers in their shopping experience. Now, customers can immediately buy what they see without leaving an app or a platform, making it easier than ever to turn a want into a purchase. And this principle is sort of expanded across 4 broad concepts, Kevin, which are defined as follows. So the first thing is about social commerce, which is scroll, see, shop on social media. The second principle is around live commerce, which is about streaming meets shopping. The third concept is about consumer demand across the globe. And the fourth concept around this particular principle is social and live commerce, see now, buy now. So let's take a look at each of these concepts in a bit more detail. So the first being scroll, see, and shop on social media. Social commerce is about selling goods or services directly to somebody without any social media, within the social media platforms of the 4 that really are prevalent, being Facebook, Insta, Pinterest, and TikTok. And it's about meeting consumers where they are and allowing them to make immediate purchases, Kevin, and then, rather than redirect them to a business website, keeping them in that environment, quick path to purchase, much less friction, and very much more around on-demand driven actions as well. And the point of highlight here is really that the primary social platforms that have been used to drive social commerce, the place that any brand would want to use as they connect with potential audiences and capitalize on customers in the moment shopping impulses. And I think that's probably one of the most important things, is not needing to leave and getting out of that in the moment shopping impulse mind state. By the time you arrive at the particular product on the respective brand's website, you may have a second thought about it. When you're staying in the social commerce environment, you're in that trigger of click and buy position. So again, while noting a slightly different value from the opening statement, this particular point notes that global social commerce sales has reached 492 billion in 2021, with the value expected to nearly triple, Kevin, reaching 1.2 trillion US dollars by 2025.
That's just
And
insane.
yeah, gee whiz, I know, hey. And in closing on the concept, is 52% of the businesses covered, I mentioned earlier, state that they will be introducing social commerce as a new sales channel in 2023. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah, sure.
The concept 2, live commerce, streaming meets shopping. This concept really notes that live commerce allows customers to buy products they see on screen during live streaming and events. Fascinating topic, with the primary advantage being that a purchase is often completed in one click by using the buy links or QR codes that are actually shown on the screens. And Kevin, yes, sales driven by live commerce could actually account for as much as 10 to 20% of all e-commerce by 2026, with live commerce already being predicted to reach 55 billion US dollars in the United States alone in 2026. And the mix of shopping, entertainment, and social interaction really is a big appeal factor to many users on social platforms, hence the growing rapid rate of interest and traction gained in this particular environment.
I mean, but I don't know if you've seen the live streaming on TikTok where people are playing a game where all you need to do is beat your opponent. So I invite you to the live streaming, and we box each other, right? And you kind of see how many people you can get to pay you, like, so you're paying people in money, like in rands, to pay you to box this person off, and win. So, like, TikTok has got a formula that works in such a profound way. Because like, I love TikTok, and
Yes.
I go through this, and I watch people game the simplified gamifying element that they have to those live streaming sessions. And all you're doing is, like they're saying, you're giving people a rose, or you're giving someone an arrow, or you're giving someone a heart, and a rose is 1 point and 3 points and 10 points. Like, and they've gamified that to that degree. But when you listen to the live streaming options like this, it's starting to make sense, where people are engaging with it to that degree, where they really almost, like, I think it's heading towards an obsession where people are obsessively on social media.
And when you throw a relevant brand to that person in their mind state at that particular point, transaction is going to happen.
Yeah, it's like they've got this code that we're not seeing.
Yeah. What's interesting to note in point 3, the concept 3, which is about consumer demand across the globe, Kevin, is that live commerce is actually showing the greatest growth in China, with the market estimated to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 58.3% over the next 3 years. Now, that is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the frightening reality here is that in China alone, the revenue is expected to reach approximately 700 billion by the end of 2023. A prime example of this, and I was fascinated by this, is a success on the back of a particular Tommy Hilfiger campaign, where the brand experimented with live commerce in China, which then went on to attract an audience of 14 million viewers to a single event. As you say, there's this obsession to want to be there. And in that particular event, the company sold 1,300 branded hoodies in 2 minutes, Kevin. And yeah, and you can see why the likes of Tommy Hilfiger brand has now actually extended that particular kind of application programming across Europe and North America.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fourth and final concept in terms of this is social and live commerce. See now, buy now. And concept 4 here notes that the appeal of social and live commerce for consumers is the ability to buy a product as soon as they see it. As I've just mentioned, Tommy Hilfiger really getting that right. And to make it even easier to buy, a growing number of businesses are actually embedding payment links and QR codes directly into those social media posts and live commerce streams. Two interesting quotes here, Kevin. According to Antonio Gagliardi, who's the SVP at American Express, he notes that embedding payments is another trend that will continue to grow at a rapid pace. That's why social and live commerce are starting to do so well. They help your customer enjoy a frictionless experience without having to leave the platform. The technology that fuels these social and live commerce experiences is embedded payment links, and they allow businesses to integrate payments directly into posts and ads across these social platforms. And then businesses can also integrate these links into the other channels that they didn't previously have in enabling commerce, like WhatsApp and text messages as well, Kevin.
Craig, everything that you mentioned, it's so fascinating to because as you collate this information and share this with us, like it's the evolution of where the world is like moving, and you're starting to see the obviousness of what is really pushing to the foreground, and how AI is impacting that, and what stats are supporting where humans are tending towards, and I find it very fascinating that you can take a thing like social commerce and kind of, because of that, you can actually see so much human behavior behind that.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
how it's being influenced, and in the moment as humans we don't see it, but over a period of time you kind of go, man, we are so predictable.
It would be quite amazing if each individual had their respective online data pushed back to them at the end of each month, really as a synopsis of your behavior. I know, when you look at your iPhone, you can actually get to understand your data usage and time usage across the various channels and things currently. But, if there were layers of deeper insight that actually got sent back to consumers or users of social media, it would be interesting to see the response to their understanding of their behavior. And I think a lot would be quite taken back at the information that really is extracted out there.
Yeah, I know, it's just fascinating. But as we end the show today, Craig, so what are the key takeaways that we can share with the audience?
Kevin, thanks. Yes, so key takeaway. Firstly, referencing the Shopify.com article, we note the top 5 benefits of social commerce as follows. Reach a larger audience, or at least larger target audience. If your target audience lies in that 18 to 34 age group, they're already scrolling and ready to shop. Frictionless shopping experience by letting users stay within the app all the way from discovery through to checkout. There's a lower risk of shoppers dropping off. Gather data on your audience. Social commerce gives brands a chance to really get products in front of specific and highly targeted audience that traditional e-commerce sites can't replicate. Lean into social proof. People need to trust brands before they press purchase. So they'll look at past customer reviews, compare products, and even actually talk to other customers before making purchase decisions. And the last point from Shopify is receive customer feedback. Using customer feedback, retailers can actually start tailoring their offerings to meet customer expectations. For instance, improve better customer service, more product size options, or even a new clothing collection. Once the retailers have used these insights, they can then take action. And then, Kevin, going back to the Global Payments Report for 2023, the key takeaway points for Trend 1, social and live commerce are charging ahead. Are you tapping in? These are noted as follows. Firstly, go where your customers are. Social and live commerce brings more opportunities to develop deeper engagement with customers that drive, number one, brand loyalty, and obviously, through conversion increases revenue. And then a good quote here from Conrad Chan, who's the president of Asia Pacific Global Payments. He notes the following: it's important to manage your social media platforms to connect with your customer. It's smart to be thinking about it for every size business. There's revenue opportunity at stake. And yes, across every business, the revenue opportunities are there. And then Ruben Salazar, who's the global head of Visa Direct, he notes the following important points here. One of the most exciting things about the social commerce sector is that it brings to market the right technology and modern financial tools to fit consumer needs. And where there's commerce, payments need to follow. And obviously, these financial institutions really understand that and ensuring that the technology development and evolution meets those particular needs. And then the second point here, Kevin, is social commerce is different from social media marketing. Remember, social media marketing, online social, unlike social commerce, directs buyers off platform to purchase through a website. Users click on an ad that directs them to purchase those items through a different website, adding an extra step in the process, whereas social commerce lets users buy your products or service without ever having to leave social media. Why is this such a huge benefit? Because obviously the purchase is fast, the purchase is seamless and secure for your customer, and less friction, as we mentioned, means many more sales and more revenue for your business. And then just my final comments, Kevin, here is that brands really do need to remember that to stand out in this crowded world of social commerce, they have to tap into these particular trends. Otherwise, they don't have a chance. They really need to find what the social media channels are that their target audience uses more effectively, then build a definitive strategy around that and start the engagement and interaction process on a continuous basis with those audiences. And those are the takeaways for today.
Craig, thank you. Yes, very interesting conversation, and very interesting to see how humans are doing their thing. You know, it's becoming very obvious. But I mean, guys, if you want to check out the lunchtime marketing segment, it happens on eBiz Radio at 12 o'clock every Thursday. And that's ebizradio.com. Or you can check out the Lunchtime series online on all your major podcast channels and on YouTube. And quote of the day would be, success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get, from W.P. Kinsella.
That's great. I like that. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good week, and I will chat to you soon.
You too. Yes. See you next week. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Bye.
Now, bye.